Hey, this is Tuhon Aditya and welcome to day 10 of our Kali solo training series. Today we're going to be covering Espada Y Daga. The first thing we're going to be starting with is our ranging footwork and re-looking at our basic angle 1, 2, 3, 4 and inserting that knife thrust in between. So I'm going to go step either same side, same leg. So if the stick is in my hand, I can go right hand, right leg, or I can go left hand, left leg. That's up to you. I'm going to keep the knife either tucked by my hip or center of my chest. So I'm going to step out, angle 1, angle 2, thrust, angle 3, angle 4, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust, double step, 1, 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust to the side, and 3 and 4 thrust. Like I had explained in the previous video, at least for now, we want to be thrusting almost like this. It's somewhere in between a knife jab and a reverse thrust, because when we go into partner work, life becomes a little bit easier to thrust like this than to thrust like this. And the concept is essentially every time that your stick vacates space, your knife is filling it. So we're going to be doing 2 rounds of 3 minutes each. Please switch your hands, please switch the weapons in your hands after every round. If you had seen the first week, the Espada Y Daga we did in the first week of our solo training, I had mentioned that some of the stuff we're doing over there is things that I covered with Grand Tuhon in our first session of Espada Y Daga together. What we're going to be doing today is, funnily enough, what we covered in our second session, except that our second session was far longer, and so he could take me through far more combinations, variations, applications and adaptations of what we're going to do today. The first drill we're going to be starting with, I'm going to use just my open triangle footwork. However, you can do this with your ranging footwork as well. I'm going to start with my stick on my shoulder and my knife center of my chest. I'm going to step to the right 45 degrees, broken angle 1. As this comes back, I'm going to be doing that thrust. Now, one really important thing that Grand Tuhon really stressed on was turning the hip as much as I can, so that almost the stick, the tip of the stick is facing my opponent at the end position of my thrust. I don't want to fully extend that thrust, just a little bit. Again, the 120-degree angle, slash, thrust. So I'm going to step to the right, slash, thrust, come back, slash, thrust, slash, thrust, slash, thrust. One thing I want to make sure of is that I am not slashing around. It's not coming all the way, it's not taking this big journey. I'm turning my hip back, and the broken slash is still as compact and tight as it can be and not swinging all the way. We're going to be doing 2 rounds of this of 3 minutes each. Please switch hands after every round. The next drill we're going to do is one we covered last time already. However, this is the order that I was taught in, and I was taught in this order because every drill builds on the previous drill. So it's going to be a very simple, again, ranging footwork, open triangle footwork, diamond footwork, whatever you want. Angle 1, angle 2, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 1, 2, thrust to the side, thrust to the side, and then double step as well. I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is something that you should already be familiar with and we already covered in the previous video. So this one we're going to be doing 2 rounds of 3 minutes each. Again, please switch hands at the end of every round. The next drill we're going to be doing is what's often referred to as your single stick Sinawali, and we're going to be adding our knife into that as well. So it's up to you. I'm going to show you 2 variations of this. There's slight variations of each other, but whichever one you want to do is up to you. Again, ranging footwork, open triangle footwork, diamond footwork, whichever one you want to do. When in doubt, I generally, especially for working on foundational work, I generally stick to ranging footwork. So I'm going to go angle 1, high, angle 4, low, angle 2, thrust. So high, low, high, thrust, high, low, high, thrust. Broken, broken, fluid, thrust, or fluid, broken, fluid, thrust. One of the reasons that we did this drill was because you need to keep cycling your your knife chambering position as you're doing this, and be very aware of where your knife is in relation to your hand so you don't cut yourself. So I can go keeping it tucked by my chest the entire time. 1 o'clock, 4, angle 2, thrust, or angle 1, angle 4, pull it back. See how when I come back for my angle 2, when it's loaded on my shoulder, I drop my knife to my hip, angle 2, thrust. So there are two options, 2 rounds of 3 minutes each. Please be cycling 1 round with your weapons in your right arm, with your stick in the right hand, knife in the left hand, and the next round with this reversed. The next thing we're going to be adding is our reverse diagonals into our thrust. If you have seen the last video, I stressed about the importance of our reverse diagonals, especially when we're doing stick and knife. So please do check that video out as well. I'm going to leave a link down in the description below. Also, if you do enjoy what we're doing over here, if you do enjoy the content, please do consider subscribing and liking and sharing this video. I'm going to be using my ranging footwork again. When I'm working my foundations or anything new, my ranging footwork is my go-to footwork. So I'm going to step out, angle 3, angle 4, thrust, angle 3, angle 4, thrust, angle 3, 4, thrust, 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 3, 4, thrust. Now if you would have noticed carefully, I used two different sort of loading positions for my knife. The first one was again by my hip, where I went angle 3 and angle 4, and then the thrust came. The second one was in center of my chest, angle 3, angle 4, and then thrust came. We're going to be doing this with our ranging footwork, both single step and double step, 2 rounds of 3 minutes each, as usual, switching hands between every round. Last week we also worked on our waterfall. There is a whole other video on the waterfall that I'm going to leave linked down below. If you are not familiar with the movement, please go check that out first, learn it first, and then come back to this. If you still need work on the movement, which is probably you still do, spend 2 rounds of 3 minutes each just working on that waterfall movement, going from angle 1, angle 2, thrust down, up, come back, angle 1, angle 2, thrust down, come back up. Just spend 2 3-minute rounds on this, switching hands at the end of every round. Once you're comfortable with your waterfall, now today we have worked on 4 different combinations. We're going to add a waterfall after every combination and cycle through every combination. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to go broken angle 1, thrust, angle 1, there's my waterfall. Then angle 1, angle 2, thrust, one more angle 1 to set up the waterfall. Then I'm going to go angle 3, angle 4, thrust, one more angle 1 to set up the waterfall. Then high, low, high, thrust, one more angle 1 to set up the waterfall. And I'm just going to cycle between these. Again, it's up to you if you want to use the footwork that I just did, which is literally I'm staying in place, my body is bladed to my opponent, and I am doing the combination, stepping forward with the waterfall, stepping back again into the combination, stepping forward with that angle 2 or the waterfall, 3, 4, thrust, angle 1, I'm stepping forward, thrust, high, low, high, thrust, angle 1. You can do it simply like this, or you can do your ranging footwork or diamond footwork, whichever one you want to do. But we're going to be cycling through all 4 combinations we did today, adding the waterfall at the end of it. We're doing 2 rounds of 3 minutes each. Please switch your hands at the end of every round. Lastly, like we do, we're going to end with some Anyo or free flow. Now you've added more combinations to your repertoire today, so play with them. And as I said last week, when you get lost, either go back into your basic combinations with the thrust, add angle 1, angle 2 thrust, 3, 4 thrust, and find your way into that waterfall. High, low, high, thrust, 1, find your way, and then just play around with it. Find different ways of moving your feet, different coordinations, and when you get lost, go back to your angle 1, angle 2 thrust, angle 1, back into your waterfall, 3, 4, angle 1, back into your waterfall. If you do it like this, like what we spoke about last week, in a systematic way, which is not as scary as it seems. It's rather accessible as long as you have the staple combinations that you've been working on. It's the 4 that we worked on today, the ones we worked on last week. When you get lost, angle 1, angle 2, thrust, and just be able to find your way into that waterfall, and life can actually be quite a lot of fun when it comes to flowing with stick and knife. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, if you learned from what you saw, please do like and share this video. Please do subscribe to the channel. If you have anything to add to the discussion, leave that in the comments down below. If you have any questions or requests for future videos, please also leave that in the comments down below. All of these things really do help out the school and the channel a lot. Our Patreon page is up and running. To support us, to become a patron, to help us continue to make content like this, please do visit the page. The link is going to be in the description down below. Our online classes are also up and running. Our residential program is up and running. To enroll for either of them, email us through the email address I'm going to leave also in the link down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next video.